Hey, my friends, thanks for joining me on another journey behind the walls. A warm welcome to all my new subscribers. I'm so glad to have you here. I hope you're all enjoying the true crime stories so far, and rest assured, there's a lot more on the way. If you haven't yet, be sure to turn on your notifications so you never miss an update. On October 28, 1994, Patricia Rucker was convicted of first-degree murder for the death of Melva Maxey. The incident took place on July 2, 1994, in the apartment the two women shared. Patricia, armed with a .22 caliber pistol, shot and killed Maxey. After the shooting, she turned herself into authorities, telling police that she, Maxey, and some friends had been drinking and smoking crack cocaine before the incident. Patricia claimed that she and Maxey got into an argument and were wrestling over the gun when it accidentally went off as they fell across the bed. However, Maxey's daughter presented a different account during her testimony. She stated that Patricia had been arguing with her mother and demanding money before shooting Maxey in the head. She further testified that Patricia pulled the trigger 3 times, 2 empty clicks before the third shot fatally struck Maxey, age 29, in the temple. Patricia was denied parole in 2022 and continues to serve her sentence at Mabel Bassett Correctional Center in McLeod, Oklahoma. At 26, Linda Marsh was sentenced to life in prison after pleading guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder for the suffocation deaths of her 2 young children. On December 17, 1980, Marsh was accused of smothering her 11-month-old son, Joshua, and her 3.5-year-old daughter, Jamie, with a pillow. She was arrested after summoning a neighbor to her home, where the children were found dead. Authorities believe the children were killed around 9 a.m., though they could not determine a clear motive for the tragic events. A note believed to be written by Marsh and possibly intended as a suicide note was found in the home. The note suggested she could no longer stand the pressure of caring for her young children. No weapon or evidence of a suicide attempt was found in the home, according to police. Investigators described both Linda and her husband Gary as respected members of the community. They also noted that the Marsh home was well kept, and the children were described as just little angels. Following more than a year of psychiatric evaluation at Eastern State Hospital, Marsh was deemed competent to stand trial and was returned to jail before entering the 2 guilty pleas. In September 2019, the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals upheld Jasmine's first-degree murder conviction and her sentence of life without parole. Jasmine had been convicted for the 2016 fatal shooting of her estranged husband, 34-year-old Robert James Godwin, Jr. Robert was shot near Stroud, Oklahoma, and found with 4 gunshot wounds to his back about 30 yards from his pickup truck, which remained parked in the middle of a rural Lincoln County road. The court rejected claims that Jasmine had been denied a fair trial due to improper testimony, ineffective counsel, and unknowingly waiving her right to a jury trial. Jasmine's brother, Jeremy Irvin, who was one of 4 inmates who escaped from the Lincoln County Jail in 2017, was also charged and convicted for his role in the murder. He too received a life sentence. After receiving an out-of-state tip, the Norman Police Department found the body of Margarita Sandoval in the basement of a rental house on May 13, 2021. Her body was found in a 3 by 4 foot box wrapped in plastic, tape, and rope. Sandoval had an intellectual disability that prevented her from living on her own. She was supposed to be taken care of by her older brother, Octavio Sanchez, and his wife, Desiree. Maggie had been split from her family after her sisters were adopted out of foster care. Due to her disability, she was placed in a group home. After 10 years away from family, she had finally come home to start her life, and within months she was dead. Miguel Munoz, who pled guilty to unlawful removal of a dead body, confessed that he helped the Sanchez's hide Sandoval's body in his basement in June 2019. Prosecutors estimated Sandoval was killed between February and April of 2018. According to a court affidavit, Munoz said Octavio told him the body belonged to a child molester they had killed. He claimed Octavio said, "Desiree started it and I had to finish it," in regards to Sandoval's murder. Octavio's statement to police was that he got home, my wife was panicking, said that Maggie was molesting my daughter, and Desiree hit her and now she is dead. I went into the room, found Maggie laying there. She had a cut on her head and was foaming at the mouth, but I could tell she had been dead for a while. My wife was panicking and saying that they were going to take the kids away. I don't know how to talk to cops, and I wish every day that I would have just called 911. Instead of calling authorities, Desiree and Octavio continued to collect Social Security checks intended for Sandoval as if she were still alive. By the time the couple were convicted of conspiracy and aggravated identity theft in June 2023, they had pocketed over $30,000. Sanchez admitted to hiding the body and lying to police, but said she wasn't directly responsible for Sandoval's death. Desiree was found guilty of first-degree murder and unlawful removal of a dead body. She was sentenced to life in prison plus 5 years. Octavio was convicted of unlawful removal of a dead body and the lesser charge of manslaughter. He too has been sentenced to life plus 5 years. The couple will also serve a combined 84 months in federal prison for collecting checks intended for Sandoval after her death. Miguel Munoz is serving a 3-year sentence for his role and is currently at the Northeast Correctional Center in Vinita, Oklahoma. Ken and Judith married in 1985, each bringing children from previous marriages into their union. By all accounts, the couple enjoyed a happy life together, but after 3 decades, their marriage unraveled. They divorced in 2011, yet remained in each other's lives. Although Judith owned her own home, she often stayed at Ken's. On the night of March 21st, 2016, Judith made a frantic 911 call in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, claiming she had stopped by to drop off dinner for Ken, only to find him dead from a gunshot wound.
Somebody has shot him or something's happened. He's passed away.
Okay, what's his address?
18512 East 101st.
Okay, how old is he?
69.
Are we certain he's gone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I dropped by to bring him some chicken for supper, and I'm his ex-wife, really.
Okay.
And we still hang out occasionally. And,
sure.
And
how old is he?
What?
Can you step outside? How old is he?
He's 69.
Okay, and you say someone shot him?
It looks like someone shot him. There's a gun lying by his left hand.
Okay.
And it's the best I can tell. I didn't want to touch anything.
Sure. You've stepped outside, correct?
No, I'm right in the front doorway.
Okay. Could you step outside for me, please?
Sure.
Okay. We're certain he's gone. There's no.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I know by looking that.
Okay.
He's gone.
Okay.
Do I need to hang on the line?
Yeah, I'm going to have you answer some questions for me. Give me just a second, okay? At all?
Has he what?
Been suicidal at all?
Yes, he's very despondent. He's got so many health issues that neuropathy is getting so painful that he just can't deal with it anymore.
Okay.
He's had prostate cancer surgery. He's had a heart attack.
Okay.
And he just can hardly walk anymore. And he was looking at probably getting into a wheelchair before too long, and he's just so active.
Okay. Do we think he did this to himself?
Well, ma'am, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I would hope not.
Okay.
You know, I mean,
Sure.
I don't know.
The door wasn't kicked in or anything when you got there, though? It didn't look like someone had broken in?
No, but the back garage door was open, and he never leaves that unlocked.
Okay.
Never. Hardly. He takes an Ambien, and then he gets kind of loopy sometimes before he goes to bed. But that door was completely open, and the back door going out into the sunroom was unlocked.
What's his name?
Kenneth Nix, N-I-X.
What's his middle name?
Larry.
And what's his date of birth?
9/19/46.
And what's your last name?
Nix, Judith Nix.
Okay, what's the phone number for you, Judith?
This is a landline. I've got a... You want my cell number?
Yeah, if you've got that.
Let's see it, so see if I can remember. 815-1972.
Okay, and you had a key to let yourself in?
Well, I've got a garage door opener.
Oh, okay.
And I just come and go. You know, we just spend a little time.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't get along full time, that's for sure. We were married about 26 years.
I completely understand. And where is he at in the house?
He's in the master bedroom.
Could you tell where the wound was on his body?
I was looking, it looks like maybe in his left side.
His head?
His face.
Okay.
I don't know. He's been so... He just... Yes, ma'am. He's had a lot, and he's so active, he just can't hardly deal with it.
Okay.
I hear the siren.
Yeah, they're going to come and talk to you.
Okay. You want me?
No, I want you to stay on the phone with me until they get there, okay?
Okay, all right. I think they're here now.
You just let me know when you see them.
Okay, they're turning in.
Okay, I'm going to let you go, okay?
Okay,
all right,
thank you.
Judith. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
When police arrived, Judith led them to the master bedroom, where they found 69-year-old Kenneth Nix with a gunshot wound to his left temple and a pistol near his hand. Judith told authorities the last time she had seen Ken was the evening before, when he had been grumpy and tired. She claimed she called him earlier that day, but he hadn't answered, so she stopped by to check on him. While the scene initially didn't rule out a possible suicide, investigators soon found discrepancies in Judith's story. The blood on Ken's head was already dry, and signs of lividity indicated he had been dead for hours. Upon moving his body, they discovered 2 bullet wounds close together on his head, and the bloodstains on his shirt didn't align with his position, suggesting he had been moved after being shot. The medical examiner determined that Ken had died around 7:30 a.m., almost 14 hours before Judith called 911. Investigators questioned Shelley, Judith's daughter, who claimed her mother and Ken had a troubled relationship. She alleged Ken was abusive and that she and her sister Angela didn't get along with him. Shelley initially told police she had gone to Ken's house around 11 a.m. that day and exchanged money with Judith at the front door, contradicting Judith's earlier account. Believing Shelley was lying, police arrested her on suspicion of being an accessory to murder after the fact. Authorities were later contacted by Todd Moore, Judith's former son-in-law, who said Shelley and Angela had come to his house on the day of the murder. He claimed the sisters told him Judith had shot Ken and even tried to recruit him to help cover it up, but he refused. Upon learning of her daughter's arrest, Judith agreed to speak with investigators. She admitted that Ken, due to his health problems, was difficult to live with and had threatened her over money he claimed she owed him. Judith said that on the morning of the murder, Ken pulled a gun on her, demanding $21,000 he had spent on her daughters. According to Judith, a struggle ensued, and the gun went off twice, killing Ken. Panicked, she called her daughters, who helped her clean up the scene. However, investigators found no signs of a struggle in Ken's bedroom, and his bullet wounds didn't match Judith's account. Additionally, phone records revealed text messages between Judith and her daughters, in which she expressed her frustration and bitterness toward Ken. Just days before the murder, Judith had texted Angela about a handgun similar to the one used in the crime. Judith Nix, 69 at the time, was subsequently arrested for murder in the first degree. Angela Moore was also arrested and was subsequently charged with accessory to commit murder. Further investigation showed that Judith was deeply in debt. Prosecutors believed that when Ken demanded repayment or threatened to kick her out, she killed him to gain ownership of his house, which she would inherit under their divorce agreement. Prosecutors dropped all charges against Shelley Davis Pearson and Angela Moore, who both agreed to testify against their mother at her murder trial. In 2017, Judith Nix was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 39 years to life in prison. Although she is eligible for parole, she will not qualify until she is 108 years old. In 2018, the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals upheld her conviction, rejecting her claims of insufficient evidence, improper jury instructions, and ineffective counsel. Judith had argued that she killed Ken in self-defense due to battered woman syndrome, but the court did not find merit in her appeal. Judith is currently serving her sentence at the Mabel Bassett Correctional Center. On Tuesday, December 28, 1999, Angela Burke surrendered to the Oklahoma County Jail after being accused of starving her infant son to death in a roach-infested home in Oklahoma City. Her parents, Estelle Ray Sexton and Catherine E. Sexton, was also arrested and held without bail. All three were charged with first-degree murder for the death of Nathan Adam Burke, who died on August 24, 1999, at just 3 months old. They were also accused of neglecting Nathan's older brother, 1-year-old Zachary Burke, who was placed in foster care after their arrests. Records show that Angela called 911 after Nathan stopped breathing. She told authorities she had gone to get the baby and noticed he appeared dehydrated with sores all over his body. Angela admitted she was afraid to take him to the emergency room, fearing he would be taken away from her. An autopsy revealed that Nathan had little food in his system and no body fat. The sores on his body were determined to be roach bites. Angela and her parents lived together at 600 Southeast 35th in a house overrun by roaches, with walls, furniture, and floors crawling with insects. Police also discovered that the water had been cut off for 3 months. The home was condemned after Nathan's death. Angela and Catherine denied starving Nathan, claiming he had a fever the night before his death but had eaten and drank formula and sugar water. Social workers from the Department of Human Services, DHS, had visited the home several times over the past decade, following complaints about unsanitary conditions. During a visit on June 17, 1999, Nathan and Zachary appeared clean and well-nourished. However, DHS had been receiving reports about the Sexton household since 1986, with multiple complaints about neglect and filthy living conditions. Concerns about Zachary's well-being were reported on November 3, 1998, and again on April 21, 1999. On January 1, 2000, Estelle Ray Sexton, 48, was found dead in his jail cell, hanging by a sheet tied to the metal bunk frame. Catherine Elaine Sexton, 44, was sentenced to 30 years in prison for child neglect. During her sentencing, District Judge Susan Caswell remarked that Nathan looked like a baby from a starving country and criticized Catherine for failing to fulfill her duty as a grandmother. "You ate and drank and did not feed that child," the judge said. "You could have done something and you did nothing." Angela Burke, at 23 years old, pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and child neglect for Nathan's death and the neglect of Zachary. She was sentenced to life in prison plus 35 years. As part of a plea agreement, the death penalty was dismissed. Catherine's sentence was discharged on December 2, 2013, according to Department of Corrections records. Skye sobbed uncontrollably as the jury foreman announced her guilty verdict after just an hour of deliberation for the death of 17-month-old Lanston Hollenbeck, her boyfriend's son. The verdict was reached by an 11-man, 1-woman jury Following 3 days of testimony, prosecutors argued that Sky fatally struck the toddler in the head while he was staying with her and his father during a weekend visit in February 2011. Sky initially told investigators that Lanston had fallen off the bed while she was in another room, but the medical examiner determined his injuries were inconsistent with her story. The carpeted floor made it unlikely the fall could have caused the severe trauma. An autopsy revealed that the toddler's skull had been crushed, with a fracture over 4 inches long and 2 additional smaller cracks. According to police, Lanston's father was at work, leaving Sky alone with Lanston and his 4-month-old half-brother. Sky called authorities, reporting that Lanston was unconscious after falling off the bed while playing. She claimed she had heard a loud noise but no crying. The child was airlifted to a Tulsa hospital with severe brain injuries and was pronounced dead after spending a day on life support. 3 days after the incident, Sky turned herself in and was charged with first-degree murder. District Attorney Eddie Wyant stated that Sky would have to serve 38 years before being eligible for parole. Mika Schoate and Jasmine Williams, both 22 at the time of their arrest, were charged with murder after 19-month-old Zamonte Green was found unresponsive in their car during a traffic stop. An officer had noticed the women driving slowly on Lewis Avenue one Sunday night and spotted the boy lying in the back seat. Despite the officer's efforts to administer CPR, it was too late to save him. Zamonte, only a year and a half old, had endured horrific abuse throughout his short life. He had injuries to every part of his body, Assistant District Attorney Sarah McCamus stated. His head, face, back, arms, and abdomen were all bruised. The insides of his eyeballs were bruised. His abdomen had deep bruising, reaching the soft tissue and muscles, and there were injuries to his back and arms. He had truly been tortured. Officers had tried desperately to revive the child on the night they found him. They worked CPR on the trunk of the car, one officer said. However, the medical examiner later determined that Zamonte had been dead for 8 to 10 hours before the women were pulled over. Although Schoate and Williams provided statements to the police, their accounts were quickly disproven by cell phone records, witness testimonies, and evidence gathered through search warrants. Both women claimed they didn't know how the baby sustained his injuries. The boy's parents, who lived in Arkansas, had left Zamonte in the care of Schoate and Williams since he was just 1 month old. After a 2-week trial, Tulsa jurors found Mika Schoate and Jasmine Williams guilty of child abuse, murder, and child neglect. Both were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole on April 14, 2012. They never showed an ounce of remorse throughout the proceedings, Assistant District Attorney McCamus said. The only time they cried was when their sentences were announced. Angela was charged with first-degree murder in Cole County for the death of her boyfriend, Wayne Keith Harkins. Keith, 40, died from a gunshot wound to the head around 8 p.m. on Sunday, July 29, 2001, at his residence on Pine Street in Tupelo, Oklahoma. Following a competency evaluation, the court determined Angela was incompetent to stand trial and ordered her to be transported to the Eastern State Hospital for treatment, where she remained for an extended period. An initial report from Eastern State Hospital diagnosed Angela with paranoid schizophrenia, a history of methamphetamine abuse, panic disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and borderline personality disorder. On June 4, 2002, Angela was found fit to stand trial. Her jury trial took place on January 22nd and 23rd, 2003. She was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced on March 13th of the same year. My heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of all the victims. May their souls find eternal peace.